In today's business world, everyone needs to be in tight communication with one another. Emails, textings, file sharing, web streaming, social networking. These are the tools for the modern-day business person, and without it, a company can be non-existent. What about the public sector? Many of the less populous rural areas of Maryland, like the Western Panhandle and the Eastern Shore, lack the reliable and readily available broadband service necessary for cutting-edge economic development, public safety, and remote education initiatives. The State of Maryland Department of Information Technology, as part of a public-private consortium, plans to deploy the One Maryland Broadband Network to bring affordable and abundant broadband to each of Maryland's 24 counties. The project would link together and extend 3 independent networks: the state-run Network Maryland, the Inter-County Broadband Network, a 10-county consortium, and the Maryland Broadband Cooperative, a rural nonprofit carrier. The nearly 650 miles of new fiber in the rural portions of the state would substantially improve public safety, government services, healthcare delivery, and education, offering community anchor institutions access speeds between 10 megabits per second and 10 gigabits per second. The one leading this charge is Howard County Executive Ken Ulman. He works tirelessly to close the digital divide throughout Maryland. He's helping to establish a single high-speed broadband network that will provide every county in Maryland with the critical broadband infrastructure it needs for decades to come. The project is known as the One Maryland Broadband Network. Ken Ulman is the current president of the Board of Directors for Maryland Association of Counties, and he's the youngest elected county executive in Maryland's history. Nothing is more indicative of this commitment to leadership and economic development than his attention to technology and more affordable and accessible broadband for Maryland's residents. Ken clearly sees the economic and educational future of Maryland being directly tied to Maryland's technological competitiveness. Join us now as Mr. Ulman explains how this new venture will help and improve the lives of the residents of the City of Rockville and Montgomery County.
I'm here with Michael Gottlieb, the president of the Rockville Chamber of Commerce. Thank you, Michael, for joining us and talk to us about what's going on here today.
We are excited to have Ken Ulman come speak to us today here at Montgomery Community Media. Ken is the Howard County Executive, and Ken is going to be speaking to us about the broadband initiative that he has been largely responsible for. Ken has arranged and coordinated to get $115 million to get broadband throughout the state.
And how do you think, in your opinion, how do you think broadband will benefit Montgomery County?
By having broadband throughout the county, all residents and all schools and all businesses will have access to it, which means that we're leveling the playing field, that giving students of every socioeconomic background the same opportunities that those that otherwise didn't have it would have had. I'd like to thank Montgomery Community Media, in particular Merlin Reinecke, the Executive Director, for hosting this event, and wanted to give Merlin an opportunity to come up and say a few words about what they do here.
Thanks, Michael. Good morning, everybody. Glad to have you with us here at MCM. As you can tell, we're under a bit of the last stages of reconstruction around here, so if you get a little paint on your sleeve, I apologize for that. Welcome to MCM. I think this is a great topic and opportunity for us as Montgomery County's Community Media Center to talk about broadband issues that's important to all of us in this room today. Let me just take a moment to tell you a little bit about MCM if you're not familiar with our organization. We are the nonprofit 501c3 here in Montgomery County that provides services related to TV production, training, and broadband media services and distribution to the residents of Montgomery County, nearly a million residents and businesses here. At MCM, we provide more than 17,000 hours a year of television programming via our 2 television channels, 19 and 21 here. And those channels are available in about 240,000 households. We train more than 1,700 community producers in all sorts of different kinds of media training. We facilitate more than 13,000 hours a year of volunteer service for residents of Montgomery County, and we entertain more than 120,000 unique visitors to our broadband media website on a monthly basis. So we interact in many ways with the residents of Montgomery County. We have great diversity of programming, more than a dozen different languages of shows that we produce and distribute here by and for the residents of Montgomery County. So we're very proud of the work that we do here. Moreover, MCM is very proud to be partnering with the Rockville Chamber on a number of events and activities that can help you reach your constituents and your customers better. And MCM has a multi-Emmy award-winning production staff that can deliver your messages at very low cost and very effectively to your constituency. And additionally, we are announcing today excuse me, that the Chamber and MCM are partnering together to launch a countywide movie theater initiative in which you can have your business featured on the big screen as well as our small screens here at MCM. This opportunity is to underwrite both MCM and the Rockville Chamber, and is a great way to increase awareness of your services to the residents of Montgomery County at a very reasonable price. So please talk to MCM's Tony Spearman-Leach, who you might have met a little bit earlier, or Michael as well from the Chamber about that opportunity before you leave today. And again, thank you so much all for being here. We're glad you could be in our facility. This particular show will be in editing and should be available on both our Channel 21 and our mymcmedia.org website in the coming weeks. So again, welcome and glad to have you with us. Thank you.
We'll be right back with more of the Rockville Chamber of Commerce after this.
I'm Jeremy Call, and I made suction tires. Wait, what? Wait. I used a rivet gun to connect the suction cups, and then I just connected it to the tire. I got the idea from an octopus because of the suction cups, and I don't know.
Anything's possible. Keep thinking. Get started on your invention at inventnow.org.
Dinner makes a difference. Learn more at CasaFamilyDay.org.
Hi, I'm here with Ken Ulman, today's featured speaker. Thank you for joining us, Ken.
Thanks so much for having me.
And talk to us a little bit about how broadband network will benefit Montgomery County.
Sure, there's so many ways. It's going to benefit Montgomery County families because children are going to get better resources at Montgomery County schools and all of the schools in Maryland. Public safety is going to have more technology and more ability to do its job. So more effective, more efficient government services. Taxpayers are going to spend less money because we'll create millions and millions of dollars of savings by using technology more effectively. And we're going to be creating economic development opportunities by preparing Montgomery County and the state for the jobs of the future.
Well, thank you so much, Ken, for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
This morning we're honored to have Ken Ulman, the Howard County Executive, here with us. When Ken was elected several years ago, he was the youngest person ever to be elected as a county executive in the state of Maryland. Additionally, Ken serves as the president of the board of directors for the Maryland Association of Counties. Mr. Ulman is going to speak to us about the One Maryland program. Maryland was awarded $115 million for the Broadband Technologies Opportunities Program, and Ken was awarded Visionary of the Year was granted the Visionary of the Year award by the Greater Baltimore Committee and recognized as an Innovator of the Year by the Daily Record just last night for all of his work in the Broadband Initiative. So without further.
Great. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for getting up and joining us today, and thanks to our hosts here at MCM. I'm very impressed with the renovation. I don't know what it looked like before, but it looks great now. And thanks to all the folks at the Chamber for coordinating this and for having me here. It's really a great honor to be with you. And I also want to thank my friends at IPX, a Rockville company, who are partnering with us on this great broadband project that I'll talk about in a few minutes. Thanks again for the partnership. And another example of this project being a regional project, and I think the first company that got an award through this project was a Rockville company. So great connection here. So thanks for being here. I'm going to talk just a little bit about what we've been able to do in Howard County, and really then about this this broadband project. And I want to recognize my friend Mitzi, who just came in, and this great partnership we have with Montgomery County. And as I get into the discussion about the broadband project in particular, I'm going to talk a little more specifically about Montgomery County and the great partnership that we have. Let me just take a step back. when I first ran for office and ran for county executive, and you're right, I was the youngest county executive in Maryland history, although that was a long 5 years ago since I got reelected, and I've got the gray coming in, and it's been a great 5 years. And the first thing that I saw as my role as county executive was to strengthen our quality of life that we have in Howard County. We are very blessed and very similar to Montgomery County in so many ways. Blessed to have great schools. In fact, Forbes magazine said our school system was the 7th best in the country, and we're very proud of that, although I think it's the best. Our library system was named the best library system in the country for the last 5 years. And Sports Illustrated named our recreation and park system the best in the Mid-Atlantic and one of the top 8 in the country. And so very proud of those things. But I was the most proud moment was, and conveniently about 3 months before my reelection, when CNN and Money Magazine came out and named Howard County the 2nd best place to live in America. It's actually funny, we got a call from the Today Show one day, and they called my communications director and said, "We need footage of Ellicott City and Columbia for the Today Show, and we can't tell you why." And my communications director said, "You got to be kidding me. I can't go back and tell the county executive that the Today Show called and I can't tell him why." They said, "Well, watch next Monday morning at 8:15. Matt Lauer will be on, and it's good news." And so we all watched, and they named the 5th best place to live in America, and it wasn't us, and the 4th and the 3rd. And we said, "Can it be?" And we were the 2nd best place, and apparently Eden Prairie, Minnesota is the best place to live in America. Never been, don't want to go, especially not in the winter. So anyway, so we're doing very well. I'm very proud of our quality of life. But the question is, there are a lot of places that used to have good quality of life, right? There's a lot of places in this country that 30, 40, 50 years ago used to be safe and used to have good schools. And so what do we do to stay ahead of the curve? And I, from day one, saw my goals as quality of life, but then how do we make the investments and how do we set ourselves up to stay ahead of the curve and prepare for the future? And we've done that in a number of ways. We've done it by becoming the most efficient, effective government that I think we can. We pulled back take-home cars, and we actually privatized cell phones, and we found a lot of ways to be much more efficient so that we can invest tax dollars into the things that the public expects us to invest in. We actually, we also are proud of our efforts in healthcare, where we formed a nonprofit called Healthy Howard, and we're one of only 2 places in the country with essentially a universal healthcare plan, and we're now working very hard to launch the first co-op under federal healthcare reform, the first nonprofit co-op in the country with partnerships in Prince George's County and Montgomery County and Baltimore City and Baltimore County. So I love new ideas, and I love, we all talk about innovation in the private sector. And I'm as proud as anybody when the next new device from this company that makes these comes out, or somebody solves a problem in technology like many of your companies do. But when's the last time we got excited about the public sector solving a problem? I just think we need to get back to rolling up our sleeves. We're Americans. We've been through lots of tougher challenges in our nation's history. We can roll up our sleeves and we can solve challenges. And so this broadband initiative really gets us to the heart of preparing us for the 21st century. And so what did we do? When the stimulus, when the Recovery Act came out, there was $7.2 billion set aside for broadband, high-speed internet infrastructure. And with the partnership that we have with our federal delegation, with Senators Mikulski and Cardin and all of our congressional delegation, we put together an application. We reached out to 9 other jurisdictions in Maryland, from Harford County through Baltimore County, Baltimore City, Anne Arundel County, City of Annapolis, Prince George's County, Frederick County, Carroll County, and last but certainly not least, in fact, the most important, especially right now, this morning, is Montgomery County. And what we did was we went to each jurisdiction, and it was interesting. We surveyed in partnership with each jurisdiction, what is each jurisdiction doing for their own broadband implementation? And what we found is a wide spectrum, right? Where some counties, like Montgomery County, have been building out their networks for years. They've got a wide area network that is robust. But they still had gaps that they wanted to solve. In Howard County, frankly, we were much further behind, and other counties hadn't even started building out their own networks. So we went to each jurisdiction and we said, okay, we'd love to create a partnership, a consortium. Where would you like to put fiber in your county so that it further interconnects your anchor institutions, but it also interconnects across county lines? And that's a key piece. And so we did that, and we came up with an application that will build 1,300 new miles of fiber. The state of Maryland came in and said, well, let's pick up the Eastern Shore and Southern Maryland and the 3 Western Maryland counties. We went for this grant application, we got $115 million, of which $72 million is being managed by us in partnership with the 9 other jurisdictions that I talked about, and we are now under construction. We have to build this 1,300 miles by August of 2013. We are under construction. Companies like IPX are making sure that all the fiber and conduit is cut and packaged and ready to go to the construction crews to be put in the ground. The key point is that this is also being interconnected with an existing 2,600 miles of fiber that is currently in the ground or up on poles owned by either counties or the state. And so essentially we're going to have a 4,000 mile interconnected, redundant public sector cloud, or community cloud as I'm calling it. My CIO tells me to stop using the word cloud, but I'm going to continue it because I still like the word cloud.
We'll be right back with more of the Rockville Chamber of Commerce after this.
Hi, I'm Merlin Reinecke, Executive Director of Montgomery Community Television. A lot of new and exciting changes are taking place at our organization. The fact is, with emerging technologies, we're not just television anymore. We're a true multimedia center. So I'm proud to announce that we're becoming MCM, Montgomery Community Media, a unique resource for the residents of Montgomery County. In addition, as of January 17th, AMTV 21 will become the Montgomery Channel. Our programming will better reflect the incredible diversity and international flavor that is Montgomery County today. As always, we will strive to be an extraordinary media resource for the people of Montgomery County, a place where each and every one of you can come to learn and teach, as well as share your message and vision with the community. We're happy to serve you and hope you continue to enjoy the programming on the Montgomery Channel, Channel 21, your world right here at home.
Oh, I think in many ways. First off, in the public sector, for example, in the schools, it's going to make available applications like distance learning. There are a lot of applications for the police and fire departments, for example, to be integrated 911 services. So we think it'll have a great impact. But we think also very interesting to us that it's going to provide a commercial alternative to some of the Comcast and Verizons, as small operators are able to come in and actually get access to this fiber and build alternative networks.
Let me explain why it's important and why you should care about this. What's different about this project than any other in the country, and we just got an award in San Francisco that says it's the best network in the country, so it's not just me saying it, but a national organization just said it as well. Much of the time that fiber is put in the ground, it is put down the median of a highway. Right? It's put down 301 into Southern Maryland, or it goes Route 50 into the Eastern Shore, and it sits in the median until the economics work for somebody to come in and plug it into a final user. Okay, that's progress, but unless somebody's using it, what have we really done? So what our project does is it actually connects anchor institutions. So virtually every public school, library, police station, fire station, courthouse, university, community college, hospital in the region, in those 10 jurisdictions that I mentioned, is going to be directly plugged into this network. So that has tremendous public sector benefits, which I'll talk about in a moment, but it also has private sector benefits because if you think about where an elementary school is, if you think about where a hospital is, where a library is, where a fire station is, most of them are so deep into neighborhoods and communities that we're going by every office building or every job center, every campus imaginable. And so we are going to be leasing out that fiber. We won't, but a third party will come in and lease from the network and provide that service to the private sector. So somebody's going to be knocking on your door saying, do you want abundant, accessible, reasonably priced broadband services? And that's going to happen very, very soon. So that's important on the private sector, and that's why I'm calling it a community cloud, because it will absolutely integrate in the private sector and the public sector and create opportunities that we haven't even thought of yet. On the public sector side, it will create a minimum of $28 million of savings, even if we did virtually nothing else but plug in the anchor institutions, because now we have access to our own network that will provide these services. The other piece is, if you think about, or there are many pieces, I should stop saying the other piece, because there's always another piece and another piece, is that if you think about public sector efficiency, so if you think about having over 1,000, up to 2,000 schools on one network. Well, Montgomery County is ahead of the curve. Montgomery County offers Chinese language in most of its schools. Well, in all high schools. Very few other counties in Maryland do that. So the other counties, including Howard, are going to have a choice, right? Do we all find Chinese language teachers and offer these courses? Or do we partner with Montgomery County through this new network and provide distance learning opportunities? Because this is the only network on the country where you actually have every school plugged into the same network. Maryland Public Television is a partner of ours. Maryland Public Television has over 10,000 hours of free HD documentary programming that very few schools in the state of Maryland have the broadband capabilities to receive. So when it comes to piping in education opportunities, think about all the resources we have in the state of Maryland. You could have somebody at NASA doing a distance learning opportunity in the high schools in Maryland, in the community colleges. You can interconnect the universities. I just met with a group at the Walters Art Gallery, where they've just gotten much acclaim for uncovering they have all these Archimedes works that they just uncovered. There's a big article recently where they just uncovered all of this valuable information. And where are they storing that information now? At Stanford. Because Stanford offered them the housing of all of that data. We should be doing that in Maryland. And this will enable us to create the resources and the integration that will now be possible. Think about from a public safety interoperability standpoint. Since 9/11, we've all been talking about interoperability, and we've made a lot of progress. However, each of the jurisdictions that I talked about has their own 911 dispatch center. If our 911 dispatch center in Howard County goes down, our dispatchers scramble to get in their cars and drive like 8 miles away down to the Southern District Station, while police officers who are trained to fill in answer the calls until the folks get there. We should be able to snap our fingers and our friends in Montgomery County answer Howard County 911, how can I help you, until we get it back up and running. We buy lots of things together in partnership. Counties do. We buy energy together. We buy motor fuels together. We buy paper together. We buy ambulances together and all these consortiums. We don't, and we can't buy IT solutions together. Why should we all have separate GIS systems or separate CAD systems or separate whatever software solutions? So to have the ability to really do the connectivity and the interoperability in a way that really makes sense and saves the taxpayers millions of dollars is something that will be a reality in Maryland, different, unlike any other jurisdiction in the country. Think about electronic medical records. We're all talking about electronic medical records. It's the hot thing. Well, it only makes sense it only works if you have the pipe that connects the hospitals. Some hospitals have their own network. So for example, Johns Hopkins has a network from some of their hospitals, but not to new hospitals, especially as they have branched into the Montgomery County and the DC area. So they have Howard County General Hospital. Howard County General Hospital will now be a hub on our network that will service Johns Hopkins as a partner and will allow them to integrate in Suburban and Sibley, which they've just acquired, into that network. But now think about the fact that virtually every medical office building can be on this network. Every radiology center can be on this network. So if you think about how much bandwidth it takes to move radiology film from the radiology center to your doctor's office, to the hospital, back to send it over to a specialist who needs to look at it in real time, that will now be a reality. And so when it comes to services to provide to the public, we will be leaps and bounds above other places in the country.
Well, what we heard today was very exciting to IPX International because this is at the core of our business. What we want to do is develop broadband applications, the physical aspects of it. We really want to bring the fiber to the various communities, and we actually have established a fiber warehouse to do exactly that. So we're very much geared to support the BTUP prospects. And also, the project is very, very good for our international applications because we really want to take fiber to our other countries, to our other markets, namely in West Africa. That's actually our primary focus as a business, and we very welcome the opportunity to do that in the state of Maryland and take the same kind of ideas over to our other markets.
We'll be right back with more of the Rockville Chamber of Commerce after this.
Now, Montgomery Community Media makes it easier than ever to search for and view great Access 19 and Montgomery Channel programs. Simply go to mymcmedia.org and hit On Demand. Never off, always on demand.
What's that? I don't know. Something I kind of made. Ooh, what's it do?
What do I do? Well, thanks for asking. I ring my bell and I like to dance. What do I do? Well, thanks for asking.
Ow! Yeah, it still needs a little work.
Anything's possible. Keep thinking. Get started on your own inventions or just play some games at inventnow.org.
And now think about the private sector, right? So think about if you're an application developer in any of these areas, where do you want to be? Where do you want to be? You want to be in an area where you can play. So if you're doing distance learning, if you're doing electronic medical records, you want to be in a place where you have an open network that you can further develop your technologies. We met with a company recently that works on better managing and better identifying and utilizing public safety footage, right? So you think about all these public safety cameras that are everywhere, right? Well, how do you know which one you should actually be paying attention to? So what we will provide is essentially a server that will have all of Baltimore City's footage, Baltimore County's footage, Prince George's, Montgomery, everything together. Well, if you're an application developer, you want to be here working on this, fine-tuning your technology and making progress. I just led a trip to Palo Alto to study the culture of innovation and entrepreneurism in Palo Alto. We did one a year and a half ago to Austin. There are places in this country that have become known for and are in fact creating the private sector wealth in this country, the innovations of the future. And you know, whether it's the Research Triangle or Boston or Palo Alto and Silicon Valley or Austin or New York City now has become a hotbed of social media companies. And we've had tremendous success in Maryland. However, we, in my mind, have not utilized our investment and infrastructure to our maximum. Places around the country are working hard to create the infrastructure that we have in Maryland. All the federal labs, the federal investments, the FDAs, the NIHs, the NISTs, the Fort Meade and the U.S. Cyber Command up to Aberdeen, the Johns Hopkinses, the University of Maryland systems. It's all right here. This network will, because we will be the most wired region, the most wired state in the country, I believe will help be a major piece of that ecosystem of innovation and entrepreneurism that will help Maryland become the economic powerhouse that we can be and we should be moving forward. And
we'll be right back with more of the Rockville Chamber of Commerce after this.
We are this close from 120 to making history.
We are this close.
We are this close to ending polio.
All we need is you.
This close.
Be a part of history at Rotary.org.
Hi, I'm Merlin Reinecke, Executive Director of Montgomery Community Television. A lot of new and exciting changes are taking place at our organization. The fact is, with emerging technologies, we're not just television anymore. We're a true multimedia center. So I'm proud to announce that we're becoming MCM, Montgomery Community Media, a unique resource for the residents of Montgomery County. In addition, as of January 17th, AMTV 21 will become the Montgomery Channel. Our programming will better reflect the incredible diversity and international flavor that is Montgomery County today. As always, we will strive to be an extraordinary media resource for the people of Montgomery County, a place where each and every one of you can come to learn and teach, as well as share your message and vision with the community. We're happy to serve you and hope you continue to enjoy the programming on the Montgomery Channel, Channel 21, your world right here at home.
Well, having a broadband network is going to be like an incubator for various businesses. Things that are presently not possible are going to be possible. There's a lot of applications that are being developed in Palo Alto and Austin, all these other places that have been mentioned, that are simply not possible if the broadband network is not available to a large basis in the population. Everybody needs to be connected in order to take care of, in order to take advantage of these possibilities. And if the broadband network is not physically in place, it simply is only an idea. This makes it physically possible and makes it implementable. So we're very excited about that.
I just wanted to let you know that very soon Montgomery County will start construction. Very soon, construction. And there will be 121 new fiber miles just in Montgomery County, which will interconnect 109 new network sites, 87 schools, 1 library, because most of yours are already on a network, and 21 government and other community sites. In fact, the first Montgomery County schools to be lit will be right here in Rockville. Beverly Farms, Carter Rock Springs, Cold Spring, and Ritchie Park Elementary Schools are the first schools that I'm told will be plugged into this network. And so again, if you picture, and I know most of you know where these schools are, if you picture the map, how we get to these schools, and then you think about all the offices, all the campuses that get you, that we're going by and will be able to pull together on this network, this opportunity is really right here, right in front of us. And so I just wanted the opportunity this morning. I'm grateful for the opportunity to let you know what we're doing. I believe strongly in partnerships. People don't know where county lines end. They know that it's the same tax dollars, whether it's the state of Maryland or locally, and the more we can work together and partner and create solutions and innovations moving forward, the better we're serving the citizens that elected us. So with that, thank you very much for having me, and are we opening it up to questions, comments? I'd be happy to entertain any. Please, yeah. Hope I didn't put you all to sleep this morning.
That $115 million in infrastructure, were there other dollars that went for the broadband adoption? I mean, there's a couple buckets in BTOPS. Was there any dollars that came into Maryland for broadband adoption?
Mitzi Herrera, the Cable and Broadband Administrator for Montgomery County. Unfortunately, the federal government has segregated all of the funding buckets. So they funded infrastructure projects, or they funded broadband adoption projects, or they funded public computer centers. Montgomery County was actually turned down for a separate grant, which would have put computers in a couple of those libraries. And the government sites that are mentioned, those are all public housing sites in Montgomery County, which we're trying to work with public-private partnerships so that we can create technology centers where people can go and learn those skills. There's only one broadband project, there was one public computing project in Maryland, which is at Chopin State.
Chopin, yeah.
It's a family center. There are a couple multi-state entities who have funding to provide broadband adoption services. Within Montgomery County, there's actually a significant amount of that happens. It happens in our libraries, and we're looking to use this project to expand it. One of the interesting new applications may be a virtual computing lab. Montgomery College is piloting this right now. Essentially what you're doing is, by using the internet connection, all of the software and things you would have on a computer are stored in a central location. Their statistics show that you need about 1.5% to 2% of the applications for, only 1.5% to 2% of your users simultaneously do it at the same time. So you can save a lot of money in applications. And so for us, in a lot of these places, what you need are programs, financial literacy programs, basic ABC number programs for young kids, and so forth. So there's a lot of great opportunities that would come out of it.
And I think to amplify Mitzi's point, we felt strongly that on this trip to Palo Alto, we met with many companies that are sort of leading companies in cloud computing and data centers and all sort of networking, and they all said, once you have the plumbing in, then the possibilities are there. And so there are going to be applications that none of us, even brilliant people like Mitzi, have even thought about, or I were on my staff. I mean, once the plumbing is there, then there are so many possibilities. And so, and it's funny, I'm giving this talk as if this was easy. I want folks to know that, we've spent 18 months on this application, with all the teams in every county working incredibly hard. There were times we never thought we would get it, and I wondered if I was crazy to let my IT staff work for so long on this. And then we got it, and now we're so focused on building it because we had to negotiate separate pole attachment agreements with BG&E, a separate permitting process with Maryland Department of the Environment, because there's a 3-year window. First 6 months were environmental studies, and now anybody who's been in projects like this knows that this is a lot of fiber in a very tight time frame, and any penny that's not spent will be clawed back by our friends down the road, some of whom don't think this is a good idea. I would vehemently disagree. So now we're beginning to really focus even further on, okay, once it's lit up, what do we do with it? And so together we're creating the Center for Broadband Innovation. We're envisioning a public sector application store, an app store. Those apps most likely will not cost 99 cents like the app store that folks are used to. But for example, if somebody has created something for Montgomery County, or somebody has created something for Howard County, like our snowplow tracker, and they want to say, okay, we developed this software system, let's put it on the App Store. And cities around the country, you want to come and not reinvent the wheel and want to buy an application that was developed on this network in Maryland. So we're really beginning to think even more about how do we create opportunities for folks. And so same thing in Howard County, where we're going to light up one of our public housing communities, and then sort of study, what does it mean to folks to have, free access and computer labs and, high-speed internet? Does it mean that people are able to get jobs easier and we're able to get them, more help from workforce development or financial literacy? Or does it mean that kids can do their homework easily or more easily because they've got educational resources that might not have been available and certainly weren't available at high speeds like we're talking about? And so it's a very exciting time, but I would add that we need your help in partnership, because what it creates is the infrastructure for public-private partnerships. And the other piece of this is by leasing it to the private sector, we create a revenue stream that allows us to maintain the network, enhance the network, build out more sites, and provide more connectivity. Please, yeah.
I see a lot of opportunity here for Colombo Bank. I know I would be very interested in learning about the leasing opportunities we have several branches in Maryland as well as in DC, so it would be a great opportunity for us to be part of that network.
I'll get your information afterwards. And what we're starting to do, or Mitzi can as well, what we're starting to do is have, frankly, major real estate developers sitting down, looking at the entire maps. I don't know if we've done any banks yet, but it's a great, and just looking at, okay, where are my locations and where is the network and what are the opportunities?
I also see where we might be able to provide financing on the commercial side. If you probably have a lot of financing already, but there might be some other future projects that we might be able to provide some commercial financing for you there. We also do a lot of community outreach ourselves and financial literacy. So any projects that you guys have, I would definitely like to be a partner in that. So
thank you.
I see a lot of opportunity there. It's just a matter of us connecting and seeing how we can partner.
Absolutely. And the fact is, I gave a speech recently where we had this discussion about the public sector delivering services and the private sector delivering services. And the fact is that people and businesses that do not have access to high-speed internet, broadband services are being left out of the future economy. And so we as a society need to make sure we're providing it to everybody, through public, through private, and then all the opportunities are there. Sir?
What about the security aspect of it? I know that a lot of corporations are reluctant to get into the cloud biz because of the lack of security. Or I'm sure major consideration have been given to that, particularly when it comes to the private hospitals moving information and whatnot. Talk a minute about that.
Please, yeah. We actually, Ira Levy, our CIO, and I gave a talk at the major cybersecurity conference at the Baltimore Convention Center this weekend, and a lot of it was about the cybersecurity piece. Interestingly enough, and there was no language in the application or required about how are you going to secure the network, which we thought was interesting. We're fortunate in Maryland to be the home of the U.S. Cyber Command and so many companies focused on cybersecurity, and so we are very focused on that. And I would say if there's anything that keeps Ira up at night, because it's his problem. No, it is the cybersecurity piece. And so, for example. We're working with the Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Lab and a partner on the network. Well, they do a lot of work at Fort Meade that is on a secure network, but they have a lot of work that doesn't need to be on a secure network. How do you differentiate those networks? How do you, it's really the discussion about cloud computing in general, right? There's a great book, by the way, called The Big Switch, which talks about the evolution of the electricity grid and folks being nervous that they had to give up their own coal-fired plant attached to their factory to plug into the big utility. Well, how did they know that it was going to be safe and reliable? And that's sort of the concept with a cloud, right? Everybody's got their own server room in their basement. I want to give up that server room. It's a lot cheaper if I don't have to maintain those servers, but what happens out in in a data center in Portland or in Bangalore, or how do I can't touch and feel the servers? And so that's the same. Those are the same challenges we're going to have, is convincing people that this network is safe, secure. We've got all the protocols in place, and frankly that the benefits outweigh the risks. But it is true, and I think when it comes to cloud computing on a government side, one of the things we are hearing from our government partners is that there's a little more comfort knowing that if we consolidate data centers and create our own network and own sort of internal cloud between counties, that it's sort of one of us understanding what information needs to be secure in what way. I mean, we have a real challenge in government because we want to be as accessible and open as possible, but we've got a lot of important data, water and sewer billing data and payroll data and all those things just on the government side. So hospital data. I mean, Ira has a slide in the presentation we just did that has HIPAA and all of the acronyms about data security that we're going to really have to make sure that, and we will, that we're thinking through. The good thing is, because we have partnerships with the University of Maryland Medical System and Hopkins, is their internal folks are already comfortable and understand how to secure the data. But it is a huge challenge for us, and we're up to it. But it's a big one. Please.
This program is surely given the state of Maryland a great advantage, but probably temporary. You're probably watching the other states, probably specifically Virginia, Connecticut, our neighbors. What are they doing in terms of broadband initiatives? And how long is the advantage that Maryland is going to have?
I think that the difference is the number of anchor institutions that are directly plugged in. And that's really the difference. I mean, there's been a lot of, look at Northern Virginia has had a broadband build out, whether it's because of AOL or some of the companies that were in Northern Virginia in the early days, and they had a major advantage. I mean, if you look at data centers and having those POPs, and I'm a layman at this, but I've had good professors teaching me about these networks that are out there. So you're absolutely right. Folks are constantly looking to build out the infrastructure. What they're not doing, though, is because frankly they haven't applied for this federal grant in this way, is connecting in all the neighborhood locations that get deeper into neighborhoods and have the real public sector interconnectivity. So you get the state police connecting state police barracks for an emergency, but not then plugging in going into neighborhoods and plugging in the elementary schools and things like that. So we're going to be able to provide more opportunities. For example, there's a company that's a partner in leasing out fiber that's doing wireless broadband to the home. Their philosophy is, once we get into neighborhoods in more rural areas where the incumbents won't build out broadband deeper into rural areas, but once we're at that elementary school site or at that highway shop or that water tower, or whatever, we can then do wireless services into neighborhoods and go deeper. So I think the penetration is into areas that haven't been served is a major piece. When I look at Maryland and I look at places like Salisbury, Salisbury, which has a university, or Cumberland, which has, Frostburg State. We just did had a conversation out there, and you look at these places that have been really left out, and you look at, okay, well, I got a university, I got housing prices that are X, the manufacturing base isn't coming back the way it was in Cumberland. What's the economy of the future? Well, why can't I have a new technology company start up in a Salisbury or a Cumberland or a Chestertown with Washington College right there? And so I think it's the penetration that is different, but you're absolutely right. It's becoming a race in this regard. We saw Hong Kong is now providing free or basically free internet services to companies that will relocate in Asia to Hong Kong. The EU just announced a major project to do broadband in Europe to help create jobs and stimulate the economy of the future. So this is a major piece. This grant, though, will help give us a leg up, but unless we stay focused on it, it'll be temporary.
You've spoken a lot about excuse me, the big picture, the bigger institutions, the government. How does this program eventually trickle down to the small businesses, the home-based business? Can we make Comcast come out of our lives as small business owners and Verizon?
Here's what I will say. And I hear that quite a bit. Here's what I will say. The network, if you think about where the map is, so it's going by every office building. And so somebody soon will be knocking on your door. I mean, it depends on where you are, but most buildings, somebody will be knocking on your door saying, you now have another option. And it's not going to be the government providing it. It's going to be a private company who's leasing our network to provide you broadband services in your offices. So, for example, it'll be, the network will be right through here, right?
It does.
So, many of the buildings right around this area will be on the network.
Well, this be clear that the primary use that we are using for this grant is that the county operates a network which interconnects about 380 in the high schools, the middle schools, the county facilities, libraries, and so forth. This will expand it out into the elementary schools, into those public housing sites. There is dark fiber that's being installed in various places throughout the county, which would enable more private providers to use those services. I have to put in a pitch that the Comcast franchise is up for renewal, and we are going to be doing focus groups specifically with small businesses about how those providers are serving your needs and what needs to be improved. So I hope that you will participate in our focus groups and surveys.
I will say that real quick that we are not providing services to the home, but because the pipe will be so prevalent, it will provide more possibilities. And so whether it's somebody providing, a wireless service into the home, who knows where technology is? With wireless getting much better, if you have the backhaul, you may be able to do things very soon that we haven't even thought of yet. So the bottom line is the more fiber, the more possibility that there are new services being offered.
Two questions, Ken. Yeah. One is about these wireless services. Is the state actually allowing more wireless licenses? In anticipation that private sector would come in and want to access dark fiber, for example, and do wireless out in.
I don't believe we need any state licenses for.
Is there?
Well, it's no spectrum used.
Yeah, but is there some initiative just to help that out? And that was one question. My other question.
I guess my feeling is we don't really need. At least I'm not under the impression we need any licenses or any process. Folks are coming into us saying, right now, can we go up on your water towers? Right. Can we do this? And it's an open network. But county by county, there may be a little difference.
On the wireless, you're licensed at the federal level. So you either have spectrum that you have that's dedicated to you. There's a spectrum shortage, frankly.
Except that what we're not necessarily talking about folks who need spectrum.
Right. So for people who already have spectrum, they're essentially just using that fiber ring. You know, they'd say wireless, but they're all connected by that fiber ring.
Right.
There are other innovative uses of people using unlicensed spectrum, and you have what are called WISP, I believe is what they're called, wireless internet service providers.
Yeah.
The bottom line is we are now getting much more focused on how we're going to use the network. And so any thoughts and ideas that you have to help guide us through that, that's where we are. You had a second question, I'm sorry.
The second part of the question is, what about interconnections to the other states? I mean, is the network, I know it's very robust here in the state, but what about connection to Virginia or DC?
Well, we will have a connection to Virginia through NCRNet.
That actually exists right now. The 25 jurisdictions that comprise the Metropolitan Council of Governments. So basically Frederick, Montgomery, Prince George's County, and then stretching out to Loudoun County in Virginia. Those are interconnected. This network will allow basically all the counties that are located sort of in the Baltimore group. They will be interconnected, and then through Anne Arundel, Prince George's County, and through Frederick, there's redundant connections. So you'll actually have from the Pennsylvania border down to Quantico, really, the ability to do that. There's a lot of database sharing that's occurring. There's a lot of things, actually, frankly, right now, Montgomery County schools, for the schools that have a broadband connection, they use it a lot for mandatory test taking. There's some training applications that occur on that. Montgomery County PTAs actually use web conferencing.
And again, it comes down to the more network, the more fiber, the more interconnectivity and possibilities.
But I would just say on that one piece that we have a small joke that my job is to get the engineers out of the closet. Because when an engineer puts that broadband connection in a closet, that building has a broadband connection. But the reality is that until you get computers that are out there, until you have people who have skills who can provide that, and those are opportunities in places where public-private partnerships, people who are willing to sponsor computer labs, people who are willing to sponsor training programs, those kinds of things are areas that we're going to be coming back and talking to you about.
Yeah, no, and I think that, you know, in our trip recently to Palo Alto, for example, we signed collaboration agreements with some of the biggest companies who are interested in, candidly, are interested in writing checks to sponsor this new Center for Broadband Innovation and underwrite some of these things. One, because they believe it's good for society and the community, and two, because they want to play. They want to play in this network. So imagine if you're a company, I'm not going to mention any names, but you're a big company that does you know, distance learning. Well, you might want to underwrite a couple of distance learning or telepresence computer labs to then use them to test out information. So thank you all very much for this opportunity, for this conversation, and I look forward to continuing to work with you as we build this network out and we see the possibilities for economic development and providing better services to the citizens of Maryland. Thank you all very much.
We'll be right back with more of the Rockville Chamber of Commerce after this.
Now, Montgomery Community Media makes it easier than ever to search for and view great Access 19 and Montgomery Channel programs. Simply go to mymcmedia.org and hit On Demand. Never off, always on demand.
Every one of us has a role to play in making our communities and our country stronger. Discover yours. Go to serve.gov and find the opportunity that works for you. And this message is brought to you by the Corporation for National and Community Service.
Hi, I'm Merlin Reinecke, Executive Director of Montgomery Community Television. A lot of new and exciting changes are taking place at our organization. The fact is, with emerging technologies, we're not just television anymore. We're a true multimedia center. So I'm proud to announce that we're becoming MCM, Montgomery Community Media, a unique resource for the residents of Montgomery County. In addition, as of January 17th, AMTV 21 will become the Montgomery Channel. Our programming will better reflect the incredible diversity and international flavor that is Montgomery County today. As always, we will strive to be an extraordinary media resource for the people of Montgomery County, a place where each and every one of you can come to learn and teach, as well as share your message and vision with the community. We're happy to serve you and hope you continue to enjoy the programming on the Montgomery Channel, Channel 21, your world right here at home.
Dispersed for today. I'd like to just take a quick moment and talk to you about the Rockville Chamber of Commerce. I'm so fortunate to be coming in as the president of the Chamber at this point in time because the Chamber's been growing by leaps and bounds over the last couple of years. And in order to continue our growth, we are in the process of implementing a number of new initiatives, and I'm really excited about them. I want to just touch very briefly on what those are. For some of the businesses that we have not well served, we are creating a CEO roundtable for those businesses in the government contracting sector or those sectors that are not necessarily doing B2C business, but they're more B2B, and we're not really serving those effectively. We're creating the CEO roundtable small groups to get the CEOs basically to serve as their own board of advisors. One of the other things that we're doing is we've created a corporate volunteerism committee to provide opportunities for the businesses in this area to be able to get their hands dirty for their employees, and so that allows people at every level. And we're also expanding our speaker series. We've formed relationships with legislators, senior government employees that we have here, notable entrepreneurs, in order to provide opportunities for our members to interact with these folks. So I encourage you to learn more about the Chamber by going to our website, which is rockvillechamber.org, or contacting any of our board members or me or Andrea Jolly, who's our executive director. And I'd like to thank you for coming today. Thank you very much.